Okay, guys, can we start the session? Am I audible to all of you? Is the voice is loud and clear from my side? Yes. Okay. All right, guys. Okay. So, guys, from my side, it is very, very clear. And if you have any problem, if you're facing any problem, delay or anything, you just log out and log in again. And you can use the computer audio or the device audio. Okay. So, guys, let's get started. And first of all, I want to welcome all of you to the mentorship program for 2022. Guys, I'm very happy with this batch because I just announced the batch, and I think within 24 hours the batch got full, right? So all of you have joined without any concern, even after charging. So I know the fees is so high for you because you have already attended coaching, and the fees that I have fixed is slightly higher. But even then, we got this many numbers, and this is huge in number. In fact, I may not be able to handle this also. That's the reason why I closed the admission. And even just after 1 or 2 days, I got a lot of calls and I was not able to allow them into the batch. And I've asked them to just take the recorded sessions if at all required. So guys, I'll promise you, I won't be adding any more to this batch. We will be like a family for the next 7-8 months and beyond also. So the plan, the agenda for this batch is actually shared with you. We will be having the sessions and I'll be with you for 45 sessions. And in that 45 session, I'll try to share the knowledge. And we will also have 22 tests, and we will be discussing that 22 test also. And whatever you want, if possible, guys, it all depends on my terms. Whenever I'll be free, I've already mentioned everything and you have agreed upon that. It will be like as per my convenience. Even in case if you're missing something, you will be getting everything in the recorded sessions. In fact, I have given the complete course also to you. Access is given to all of you. If any one of you have not, I can find around 45 students only got the access that I can see. But the remaining, if you want to, just message me. If you have not received the access, you just message the mail ID. We'll give the access to the course because that is very important. You have to go through the course. I'll explain the course and what all things that you need to go through. These course, I will not be doing everything. I'll go for a refresher, whether it is history or polity or economy, everything. Even guys, I want to tell one thing from the last exam. See, many students have faced problem with respect to CSAT. So what approach that we do in CSAT, when you see that, you will understand how different we will be, right? So even the same thing is what you need to replicate or do in the GS also. But people who take CSAT very lightly, obviously it is very light and you just need 33% to crack this, and that is just like a cakewalk. Anyone can do that if you have some common sense. Okay, so like if you see in CSAT, what are the two English questions you are getting? You're generally getting these two questions, right? Assumption questions and then inference question. So guys, once they are giving you a passage, they can ask you different types of questions. And apart from these two, all are pretty simple and anyone can solve it, whether it is a summary question. If it is a summary question, you hardly need to read 2-3 lines. The first paragraph, first line, first paragraph, last line, second paragraph, first line, and last paragraph, last line, you'll get the answer. That's it for summary. Similarly, structure question, just knowing the structure words in the passage, even without reading the passage, you can actually get the structure, right? The database question, just go to that particular data, get the answer, get out of it. So these are very, very simple. But mostly you will see what questions in CSAT, in passages. They give you one passage and they will ask you assumption, right? The author's assumption or the inference. These are the two difficult questions. And these are the two that they always ask you. And let me tell you guys, most of your teachers might have taught you, if you're good in English, you can solve it. Assumption. If not, you just leave it. This is what mostly people have told you. But that's not the case, guys. Even if you're super good in English, you will not be able to crack this assumption questions. You may be able to do certain things, and you may think that you are correct in some, you are wrong in some, and you believe mistakenly that you are okay. But it is just 50% accuracy, and 50% accuracy, you have nothing to do. Imagine if that 50% accuracy in case of your GS, is that going to help you? 100 questions, 50 are correct and 50 are wrong. Now you are definitely out. Okay, so 50% accuracy is not a strategy at all. That's not good. So, and this have nothing to do with English also. If so, why they are giving in Hindi version? Okay, so if they are even giving you in Malayalam or in Tamil or in Telugu, still you will not be able to solve it because assumption is made by the author. How can you know the assumption made by the author? See, the question is like this, right? They will be giving you some facts, right? That the passage will consist of some facts. There may be F1, F2, F3. These are certain facts that they will give you. And these facts, and in the passage, you will get some conclusion. So the facts will lead to conclusion. How? through or via some assumption made by the author. So the facts lead to conclusion via some assumption. What is the missing link here? Assumption. Facts are given, conclusion is given. Now, where the assumption is there, it is in the mind of the author. How can you decide what is the assumption made by the author? Now, trust me, guys, with the same facts, I can make different conclusions with different assumptions. Similarly, with the same facts, I can make same conclusion with different assumptions also. So whether you're good in English or not, it doesn't matter. You will not be able to crack this so easily. But what we will do is I'll give you a strategy, I'll give you a technique with which you can solve it. Now, if you cannot understand the technique, you will be able to understand and we will solve also questions. So in my opinion, if you're solving this question either with that strategy or you just ignore this. It is not that you understood, you know English and you're going to solve it. No, that's not the case. Okay, so once I explain what is this assumption, and I'll just tell you, I'll just give you an example there. Okay, let's take some assumptions. Okay, so let's take some F1, F2, F3, some facts. Okay, so let's talk about my case. Even I can talk about my case. I have a lot of coaching, right? I run CAT coaching and I have sociology coaching. And then, so author can tell that this guy is having CAT coaching or A or B or any person. Sociology coaching is there. This mentorship program is there. I do trading in stock market. So trading is there and training on trading is there and everything is there. So these are the facts which is given. And then he will tell that, yeah, this guy have got a Porsche car. Okay, so very expensive car. So this guy got a Porsche car. Now here, so this much things he do and then he got a Porsche car. So what is the assumption here? The assumption would be something like this. Any one of this might have given me 2 crore to buy that car, right? So either the trading would have given me money or the sociology coaching would have given me money or the training in trading would have given me money. But what is that exact assumption? Can you tell me? No, right? So they will give you option A, option B, option C, option D. One of this will be assumption. So how can you pick that assumption? Now, in CSAT, it is very, very easy in my opinion. But in some CAT exams, you know, they will give you 2 choices like B and C. They will give you in such a way that both look like assumptions. Like they will give you one assumption that last year from trading, he gained 2 crore. So seeing that, you will think that this is the assumption because he got 2 crore and Porsche cost 2 crore, so he can buy a Porsche. Similarly, from this sociology coaching, he got 3 crore. So that is also, you know, one of the possibility. That is also could be an assumption. I hope you're getting it. Why I'm connecting it with the real life is because it is very simple for you to understand because you know me personally, right? So then what is the assumption? Then you will never be able to take this. But this will not come in CSAT. This will come in CAT. Then in this scenario, what to do and everything, we have the method, but I'll teach you everything. But not now. If I tell you now, it will be pretty difficult. But the strategy is like this, guys. See, we are expecting one of the given option will be assumption. Okay, the simple strategy, I'll just explain the strategy. I will not be solving this. I'll not be showing the examples now. We will do it because this is going to be a demo session. This is going to be uploaded in YouTube. And I don't want to reveal everything in YouTube, obviously, right? So here, this is assumption. So there will be one assumption. It could be A, it could be B, it could be C, it could be D. So assumption will be there. Okay, so what I'll do is, let's say B is the assumption. In this case, they have given the facts and they have given you the option and they have asked you to find the assumption and the actual answer is going to be B, but we don't know what is the answer. Okay, so here, guys, you cannot read and understand the assumption made by the author. Listen very carefully. It is very difficult because he could have made any assumption. From here itself, you could have understood that. It could be this gave you money, or this gave you money, or this gave you money. Any of this can be assumption. You got it? So anything can be an assumption. So different assumption can lead to the same conclusion. So here English have nothing to do. Your understanding have nothing to do. Only strategy will help you. Okay. So here we are not going to fix the assumption. We are not going to take the assumption. Rather, what we are going to do is we are going to see which one is not an assumption. So we know one will be an assumption, the other 3 will not be assumption. So we have to see what is that 3 which is not surely an assumption. Then the one which is left out will take as the assumption. I hope you got it. So here we need to go for elimination. Elimination is the only strategy which is going to work in this case. If that is clear, we need to know how you're going to eliminate. Okay, so what did I told you here? There are some facts, and from the facts, you will get conclusion via assumption. Okay, so now listen very carefully. I'm going to eliminate it. So what I will do is I'll take answer option A. I will assume that it is an assumption. Now, I don't know what is the answer. So I have A, B, C, D with me. I will take option A. I will assume that is the assumption made by the author. So with that assumption, he got the conclusion, correct? Here I'm assuming that's not my answer. I'm trying to find out the answer. This is my strategy. This is my approach. I am assuming that A is the assumption made by the author. Now, guys, if A is the assumption, because of that assumption, from the facts, you got the conclusion. Now, what if this assumption is negated? That means if you change this assumption, if A is the assumption, you negate it, you take A complement, you take it opposite. What will happen with the conclusion? The conclusion will definitely get negated if this is the assumption made by the author, correct? Because with that assumption only, you got the conclusion, and you change the assumption, the conclusion have to be changed. Yes or no? It has to be changed. So my point is, if A is the assumption, you take A complement. That means negate the assumption and see what happens to the conclusion. If the conclusion definitely get negated, that is going to be an assumption. So there is two possibilities. This is the assumption, that you are assuming. You take complement of it, that means you negate the assumption. See what happens to conclusion. There is two possibilities. The conclusion will definitely get negated, or the conclusion will remain the same. Nothing will happen with the conclusion. So nothing will happen to the conclusion means what? You change the assumption, nothing happened with the conclusion. That means this is not at all the assumption. This has nothing to do with the conclusion. You got it? So the process I repeat, you have 4 options. You are taking the answer option A. You are assuming that this is the assumption made by the author. And if this need to be the assumption, if this need to be your answer, you have to negate it, take the complement of it or the opposite of it, see what happens with conclusion. Conclusion have to be negated. Definitely have to be negated. Then it is an assumption. If nothing happens, this is not an assumption. So if nothing happens, what you will do? You will just eliminate this because this is not the assumption. Now you take B. See what happens with B once B get negated. See what happens with the conclusion. Is the conclusion definitely get negated or nothing happens? If nothing happens, then this is not the conclusion. If this is a conclusion, when you negate the conclusion, or if this is the assumption, and once you negate the assumption, the conclusion definitely have to be negated. So here, if nothing happens with the conclusion, this is also not the assumption. Now let's take the third one. We negate it. That means we take opposite of this. See what happens with the conclusion. The conclusion gets negated. Then this is going to be the assumption. If this is not negating the conclusion, this is not the assumption. Now let's assume that the conclusion is negated. Then what we will do? Will you be picking this as the answer? No, we will not pick this as the answer right now. Though we understood this may be a possible assumption, the same can happen with the next also. There may be sometimes you will stuck between two. Two looks like assumptions. Okay, C and D, when you negate C and D, both may negate the conclusion. So both may be the assumption. Then you are in trap. But this situation will never, ever come in CSAT. Take it for granted. I have never seen this. Only in CAT, you will find CAT, GMAT like that, you will find it. Not in CSAT. CSAT, it is very simple. What you need to do is just like this. You understand fact lead to conclusion via assumption. What is my idea? I just need to know what are the options which is given. I take the answer choice A. I just negate it. That means I take A complement. That means the reverse of it. And I will see what happens with the conclusion. See whether the conclusion gets negated or nothing happens with the conclusion. Guys, if A is the assumption and you take opposite of it, you have got the conclusion through the assumption. So once you take the opposite of it, the conclusion should definitely get negated. If it negated, this is going to be my answer, but I won't be marking it in the first instance. I will check further. This is going to be my answer. Okay, but I'm not going to pick my answer. Rather, I'm interested in eliminating the wrong answer choice. This I'm not able to eliminate because I find that conclusion got negated. If I find that nothing happens with conclusion, I can eliminate, and the one which is left out, I'll pick it. Okay. Similarly, I'll check B. I'll take opposite of B, B, that means B complement. That means I reverse it, see what happens with the conclusion. Nothing happened. So what I'll do, this have nothing to do with the conclusion. This is not going to be an assumption, so eliminate it. I take C, reverse of C, negate C. What happens with conclusion? Nothing happens with conclusion, eliminate it. I take D, nothing happens with conclusion after negating D, eliminate it. So I'm able to eliminate this. What is my answer? A. Will I take A as the answer in the first instance when I see the conclusion get negated? No. Why? Because assumption is about probability. I cannot pick the correct assumption. Rather, I can understand which one is not an assumption. How can I understand which one is not an assumption? Once it negated, the other, that means the conclusion should not affected. Once you negate the assumption, it should not affect the conclusion. If it affects the conclusion, that's an assumption. If it's not going to affect the conclusion, that's not an assumption. Correct? So once you negate the assumption, conclusion will be negated, then only that's the answer. Okay, so this is how, now guys, it looks difficult now, but once you start practicing it, this is going to be the easiest one. And I'll tell you, this is the way, this is the only way you can solve assumption question. Even with this also, you will be getting around 75 to 80% accuracy. If you're thinking that this is all about English and with your English knowledge, you're going to solve it, trust me guys, nobody can help you. Even Shashi Tharoor can come and solve it, he will go wrong. Because something which is there in the mind of the author, how can you know? Nobody know. Only with this strategy you can find it. You cannot find the assumption. You can eliminate the wrong assumption. Same as the case with inference also. Okay, general inference question. Guys, most of you will be reproducing from the passage. It should not be done. Inference means there should be some value addition. You have to add some value. That is what you infer. It is not what author infer or what is author said. What you infer. You infer means with the facts, you have to add value from your side. When you add value, other people also add value, right? So it is very subjective. So again, inference is going to be a subjective answer. These two are subjective answers. These are not objective answers. That's why people have confusion and a lot of, you know, when you're checking the answer keys also, people give you different answers. These both are subjective. Inference means you have to add value. If you're cut, copy, paste from the passage, that's a perfect wrong answer. Now, when you're adding value, will you be able to pick the correct answer objectively? No. What do you need to do? Elimination is the method in inference also. So in both these, you cannot pick the right answer. Now, there is a very famous saying when it comes to general inference. The answer for inference questions are correct, not because it is perfectly correct, but because all the other answers are perfectly wrong. And therefore, the one which is left out is probably correct. Okay. So now guys, understand these. That's very, nobody will tell you because your teachers are actually the students. Okay. So I don't know how many of you, see, very rarely people will tell these things, and I don't know where you have attended classes, but I'll give you everything. I'll just show you what you get here. So what you need to do here is, okay, guys, I think I have given access to this course to all of you. This is a complete IAS course. So here we have all the subjects which I have covered. Oh. Okay, course curriculum, if you see, this is how, this is history. Okay, now just 1 minute, guys. I'll just show you some separately, because if I take this is going to be so long to explain. I'll just explain with economy. So what you need to do, I'll tell you, okay? So here, if you see here, we have module 1, demand supply. So this is what I want you to do. I'll give you a glimpse of it in the coming session. So these are topics like demand, elasticity of demand, supply, stock exchange, types of economic system, and all of these you should be studying, because this year you have seen a question directly from demand, which was very simple, basic question. And then national income, there's a second module where all these concepts have covered. So you need to go through that. Then growth and development, which is a very, very important topic. So access to this is there for you. Money laundering, black money related question was there this year. In fact, it is clearly covered over here. And then social sector, inequality, poverty, unemployment, and all these things you need to cover. Investment model, this year there was no question, but this is very important from the mains as well as from essay point of view. Then financial institution, banks, and all these things, very, very important. Foreign investment, FDI, source of FDI, PFI, and all these have covered here. If foreign currency convertible bonds, in fact, this was actually asked as a question this year. It is very simple if you know this. Foreign trade, balance of payment, very, very important. Okay. And then capital market, everything I've discussed here. And then agriculture, which is a very important module. So much of videos are available, all concepts, everything, agriculture subsidy, need of subsidy, agricultural price policy, a high-level committee on restructuring of FCI, agricultural marketing, APMC Act, buffer stock, PDS, Food Security Act, PDS reform, food security, agricultural insurance, technology, everything is there. Okay, so banking and financial institutions, like this, these are the topics that we have covered over here. And then monetary system, complete monetary system and the money supply, the aggregates of money supply, monetary system in India, Reserve Bank of India, repo, reverse repo, MSF, MSS, and qualitative measures, everything. Economic planning and reforms, okay, all the planning. Then inflation, which is a very important module. Inflation, the types of inflation, impact of inflation, the measurement, the measures, inflation, different terms, monetary policy, how to control inflation with monetary policy, okay, MPC, trends in inflation, government budgeting, which is again very important, industry, very important, like agriculture, taxation, everything is covered here, including the tax disputes, and then international organization. So this is how we have covered economy. So guys, this will take a lot of time for you to cover. Even though you have already attended the coaching, you have to make sure that you have done all these areas, okay? And then if not, at least go to that specific area. So I'm just taking individual courses so that like all these have added to you in this course itself. IAS course, everything is there. But to make it, because if I go with that, it is so vast and I cannot take individually, right? Similarly, modern India, I've covered it here, everything. Okay. So there's a test which is given, but ignore that, last year test only. So all these are covered in different phases, socio-religious reform movements. And then from 1885 to 1920, and then we have Gandhi era, okay, 1920 to 1935, this is another phase. And then 1935 to 1947. So these are three phases here. And then here 1757 to 1857. Okay, so this is how it is completely covered. So just go through that. Guys, the point is, what I will do, it is impossible for me to, what I want to tell you is, it is impossible for me to cover the entire syllabus in our discussion. We have 45 sessions. So in the 45 sessions, you have to take the cream out of me, right? That is what exactly I'm planning. We will be discussing whatever is important. So history, I'll be spending around 5-6 sessions with you. Economy, I'll spend more time, 10 sessions with you. Polity, around 5 sessions with you. CSAT, around 5 sessions with you. And then other areas. Maybe some other teachers also come and interact with you. These are the areas that I cover: history, economy, polity, and CSAT. Okay, these are the areas where I'm very strong. So we will be doing that, and some other teachers also will do. The test discussion will be done by some other teachers. And there is nothing like evaluation or anything when it comes to the prelims. So we will not be having much personal discussions. Everything will be through the group only. All informations and everything will be shared in the group. But you have to make sure that all these topics, which is given in the syllabus, in the course section, you should be covered. Okay, so that I know, guys, some of you have purchased this course already. I have nothing to do now. You have enrolled in this program. We have nothing, no such provision that there is any concession or anything regarding that. Even some of you have purchased this course when I have launched. At that time, it was around 10,000. I know that also. And you have paid more in this program. But those things, it happens, guys. We have nothing to do in that. The price have reduced because we are getting so much of inquiry and so much of subscribers. So we thought we will give it for a very less price. Okay. So anyway, we will try to do our best here. So I hope you understood. Now, guys, when it comes to that CSAT paper, we just need Many of you have missed. That's the reason why I've explained that today. Many of you have messaged me last year. You are suffered with CSAT. Okay, but imagine if you are not able to crack CSAT, how can I? That is what I feel. How can you crack GS? Right? In CSAT, there is nothing. Everything, the passage is given to you. The answer is in front of you. Maybe now, as of now you have understood what to do. Otherwise, what you do generally, that is what you used to do, right? But in my opinion, if you're not able to crack CSAT, then just don't tell me that you scored 100 plus 110 plus in GS and CSAT I was not able to score 60. I don't consider that as good. Okay, so if you're scoring less than that mark, even 50% in CSAT, that is really bad actually. So you have to then how you're going to write mains, right? And it's going to be very difficult actually. So we don't want to focus too much in CSAT, but make sure that you will clear it. Okay, that should not be a problem for you. Whatever we need to do, we will do. And that's my area actually. I was a CAT topper 2-3 times. So CSAT is just a cakewalk, but I don't think that I need to spend too much of time in that. That's why 4 or 5 sessions, 2-3 sessions, I'll go for the shortcuts. Okay, in the quantitative aptitude area. And then 2 sessions or 3 sessions, I'll go for the English portion, so that we will make sure that you will not face any problem with respect to CSAT. And then it's all up to you. CSAT, it's all up to you guys. You have to do it from your side. Make sure that you qualify in that. Okay. And with respect to the test, there will be 22 tests formally, which I'm offering to you. And then you don't want to join any test series or anything. You can get everything from the market. Why unnecessarily you're paying this 10,000 or 15,000 for test series, right? So everything you can get from the market. I'm not naming the test series. You know what are the top test series. I used to take, when I was a student, I used to take Vision IAS test series, Wajiram test series, Shankar test series, and then Insight I used to take. But Insight was not that popular in my time. But then I used to recommend the students to take Insight also. So these are the test series that I used to take. Either you can, whatever way, or if you get it from your friends, or it's up to you guys. You can join. I don't tell not to join also. I don't tell to join also. So it's up to you. But make sure that before the exam, you solve 100 question papers, 100 multiplied by 100 questions, 10,000 questions, and reading 10,000 solutions. Beyond that, nobody in UPSC can ask you questions. If you're done with this, and if you've done with proper revision, and if you've covered the syllabus the way we have discussed, I've done it. This I've taken 1 year to prepare this course completely. So everything is added over there with my experience and everything. So like that, guys. So here, I'll show you one more thing.